Azengane zikababa ishiswa yini. Nazi ziyovimba iMadlanga Commission ziphuthume eGauteng North High Court. Zivimba. Amasala hleze kunento ewashisayo njalo.
Guys, kukho aba baye court. Can somebody balance me between and because I am confused with this party. What is their problem? Are they trying to stop the Madlanga Commission because they're saying it's a waste of money?
The MK party wants the Madlanga Commission stopped. The party condemned its early start and they say it's unlawful and politically motivated.
Even itself, the Judicial Commission of Inquiry cannot get involved in that. Those dockets, if they want, perhaps I must say that the copies of that, or digital or otherwise, but in fact, it will be defeating the end of justice because you'll be
Mashiane Politically Incorrect. Very confusing. I'm confused as well, and I hope you guys are going to make it easy. So it's very confusing. At the start, it was when the country blew, everyone wanted to understand what is actually happening here. Everyone supported Mkhwanazi. MK party took the campaign to the streets, and those are the footage that you saw. But then it's gotten a bit confusing as it goes, and I realize I'm not the only one who's confused. They were lamenting the fact that it's number one, they're supporting him, and now different messages. Comrades who I spoke about, two centers of power at MK, that confuses me. On the streets, people say they want to rescue Mkhwanazi, but they don't want the commission. But this is what Mkhwanazi wants to go and lament at the commission. They say it's referee and play at the same time. But what I want to do is, I don't want to be long, so I got on hold of the MK representative, MK spokesperson in Gauteng, who has been marshalling people to go to the ground, and that's what you saw. So I wanted to understand, what is this? How do you feel? By the way, they say they want him at Parliament. They don't want him at Ramaphosa's, and it's a waste of taxpayers' resources. I don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you everything, and you make up your own mind. The question I'm asking you, and I want you to comment on, is what do you think is happening here? Of course, I'm confused, and of course, there are people who, even though they are confused, they might pretend as if they're not confused because for political expediency. This Mkhwanazi thing is going to show people lots of flames. Mashiane Politically Incorrect. Let's see. Thank you.
As MK party, first and foremost, we would want to state categorically that we support General Mkhwanazi. We always have, and we will always support him and any South African who's upstanding, who is standing on the side of the people of South Africa and is diligent in their work, and they are ethical, and they are standing against the capture of the state and state institutions. It was for that reason that we went to the streets to go and march in support of the general, as well as to call for the immediate firing of Minister Mkhunu. We called that the decision by the president to appoint Kachalia as an acting minister from outside of cabinet was irregular and unlawful. And we continued to think that criminals must be charged and they must face the full might of the law, and they must defend themselves in a court of law. So as MK party, that is still our position. We have not moved an inch from that position. We believe that we must still continue to fight because we only have one country to save. This is the only home we know and we want to call home. So we are not intending on giving up on South Africa, and we are calling on all South Africans not to give up on South Africa as well. Our opposition to the Madlanga Commission is very simple. It is a matter of law. First and foremost, South Africans must know that the president, the constitution does not prescribe the kind of commission a president may call. Now, having a judge to preside over this commission in particular makes it a judicial commission. But you can't have a judicial commission where the justice system itself is implicated, and therefore that would constitute that they are the referee and a player. They will not do a thorough investigation and be fair. We believe that the ad hoc committee in Parliament is more than adequate. But also, when we use that avenue, we will not spend over 147 million to try to get to the bottom of these matters. And that is what we are fundamentally opposed to. We believe that a judge should not preside over that commission. We know that the findings are not binding, therefore it's pointless. We could have allowed the parliamentary ad hoc committee to do the work and make sure that we get as much information as possible. What's even better is that with the parliamentary committee, there might be recommendations that might lead to reforms in the criminal justice cluster that would assist South Africa going forward. So as MK Party, we believe that this is the wrong approach. And that is why we will continue to point out that criminal syndicates who are sophisticated are working with the president, and he is the number one defendant of this criminality in our country when he should be defending the country against rogue elements.
Umnumzana Ramaphosa nohulumeni wakhe bakhohlakele ba-corrupt. Ugeneral Mkhwanazi uselikhiphile iqiniso lokuthi kukhona abantu ababulawayo kwezepolitiki, kukhona abantu abala kwipolitics, ma-politicians njengoSenzo Mchunu ongqongqoshe kwezepolitiki, bonke bakhohlakele. Thina-ke siwumkhonto wesizwe sithi sinenhlanhla ngoba uGeneral Mkhwanazi uyiphoyisa eliqotho, uyiphoyisa eliqinisile. Siyanicela nonke ke emakhaya ukuthi lento enziwe uGeneral Mkhwanazi inhle, sonke masimxhase.
Iwele ikhombo, tiko ra hina ri wele ikhombo, swa chavisa leswi humelelaka la tikweni leri. Holobye nkulu lo a tsandzekaka ku tihlamulela, a nga lavi vutihlamuleri, u tirha na swigevenga. Hi ri vanhu va ka hina hinkwenu a hi humeni ya support General Mkhwanazi.
Bantu bekhaya njengoba sihlaka kangaka niyazi ukuthi sihlakiswa yini, kade sihlakiswa ukuthi sinohulumende la ongakhona ukukhuluma, ohlalela ukuleya mala. Ngamanye amagama abantu basazokuhlaka beSouth Africa ngoba sinabantu abangasirehe, sinabantu abazingebengu. Abanye ke uGeneral Mkhwanazi usihelebhileke wazama ukuthi asihlakudlulule ukuthi kunento eziningi ezenzakalayo ngaphakathi kuhulumende. Lokho ke okuthikameza ke ukuthi umuntu onzima akhona ukuthuthuka, akhona ukuzijamela, sikhona ukuba nenaha ngoba into eumkhonto wesizwe elwela khulukhulu ukuthi abantu ababe nenaha engeyabo. Ngamanye amagama ababe nendawo iland ibe ngeyabo.
Almal die Suid-Afrikaners en ons mense sê dit is 'n dag wat 'n skeidingsdag is vir ons mense. Ons is vandag is 'n keerpunt, 'n waterskeiding in ons jong demokrasie. Die president het met sy eie mond erken dat die wetstoepassing in agentskappe van Suid-Afrika moontlik deur kriminele bendes geïnfiltreer is. Maar in plaas daarvan om op te tree, steek hy hom weg agter 'n regterlike kommissie, 'n rookskerm, nie 'n oplossing nie. Ons wil hierdie krisis aanstel en sê ons wil 'n nuwe Suid-Afrika hê, ons wil 'n nuwe eleksie hê, ons wil 'n nuwe regering se eleksie hê, want hierdie ene is korrup van top na bottom toe. Soos hulle sê, 'n vis vrot van die kop. En dit is wat ons nou sien. So as ons 'n nuwe Suid-Afrika wil hê, moet ons van die kop af dinge regmaak.
We have stated categorically that there is no need for a Judicial Commission of Inquiry. If you review the allegations made by General Mkhwanazi, he states there that the judiciary itself is complicit and implicated. So you cannot have a situation where you're going to have a presiding over, his peers? How do we know that Madlanga himself is not the one that's investigating himself? So that alone, from the optics, is not something that we believe, brings about any level of trust, public trust in that case. Then we go further to raise the issue of saying that, we have, as South Africans, been subjected to allocate 147 million rand towards this commission. That's not going to be making any recommendations that are binding in any way or form. Whereas you have an ad hoc committee in Parliament that is responsible to ensure oversight on departments and matters such as these. So we're
one of the allegations that is made in the merits is that the minister, Mr. Madonsela's client, interfered and took 121 dockets from the political killings team away from investigation to be stored in Gauteng for some strange reason. Now, just that alone, it's easy to sit here in air-conditioned rooms and just look at it like that. But if you are one of, well, maybe the air conditioning might not be working. Thank you, Justice Tellme. Well, it's supposed to be an air-conditioned room. Yeah, it's easy to do that on a serious note. But let's just pause and be human for a minute. Imagine that one of those dockets of those people who were killed in the political killing stars team is your brother, your mother, your aunt, and that person was killed. 121 dead bodies minimum. Maybe some of the dockets have more than one dead person. No. But I've just explained how 20th Century Fox says you must get into the merits. You must actually assume that they are true. So how else? If 20th Century Fox says for the purposes of agency, you have to assume that the merits are true. So there's no escaping the merits. So the agency is only in relation to the merits. Now the point I'm making is that if you were one of those victims of somebody who was killed, and the police through crime syndicates took your docket away, and that investigation is not happening, and we come here and we say, oh, that's not urgent. You must just deal with it. We'll see you next year. That is what we're dealing with in this particular case. Apart from the fact that the whole country would like to know what is happening, but there's a human factor for mothers, aunts, uncles, and one of the TV stations did a great job by going to those families and speaking to them in the last 2 weeks, and humanizing this whole thing, because we just think 121 dockets and so on. No, these are human beings like you and me, and they are mad that dockets have been stolen or taken by drug lords, and we say no, it's not urgent. They must just, I don't know.
Jacob Zuma and the MK party have rushed to court to seek an urgent halt to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, a day before KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi is due to testify. The MK party argues the inquiry should not proceed, while a separate court challenges the commission's legality. This raises concerns about perceived conflicts around the commission's leadership. The commission was set up to probe allegations of political interference and the handling of key police investigations.
The MK party wants the Madlanga Commission stopped. The party condemned its early start and they say it's unlawful and politically motivated. The commission is set to begin its hearings on Wednesday, 17 September 2025, which is today. It's also a day before the Pretoria High Court will review its legality. The MK party says that this is a deliberate attempt to preempt and frustrate court challenges brought by the party and by former President Jacob Zuma in his personal capacity. They argue that appointing a sitting judge to investigate allegations involving members members of the judiciary creates a serious conflict of interest, and they say the commission cannot command legitimacy, independence, or public confidence. I am a journalist from South Africa, currently living in South Korea, and I bring you news from South Africa and all over the world. The party is now calling on Judge Madlanga to suspend the commission until the Pretoria High Court has ruled on its legality. But the commission will go on. MK's case will be heard on 18 September, which is a day after the commission starts. But what do you think? Do you think the MK has a point and the commission should be stopped? Or do you think the commission should go on? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section.
Guys, kuko aba baye court. Can somebody balance me between and because I am confused with this party. What is their problem? Are they trying to stop the Madlanga Commission because they're saying it's a waste of money? A part of me is like, guilty because there is absolutely no way by a court to stop the Commission of Inquiry, the Madlanga Commission. The same people who were in the committee discussing, saying the committee in Parliament is not urgent because Mkhwanazi is going to appear in the Madlanga Commission and Bobona, they are okay with that. All of a sudden, they are taking them to court to stop. Why are they trying to stop? Can somebody balance me because I'm confused with this party? What is happening with this party? Oh, the members of this party, can you balance? What nenzani man? Nenzani? Hayi andiyazi. Khona udali xa ufuna utyala imali yena akasa advise intoni? Hayibo. Dr. Hlopeni uthuleleni. Oh, I see. They are also saying the 121 documents must be prosecuted, so there's no need for the inquiry. Oh, andiyazi mina le party noba zenza relevant okanye ntoni na. But I see they lost the court bid. So I see it says here, MK loses the court bid to stop the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Hayi bethuna. Baphithizela abantu. Baphithwa ntoni? Andiyazi. Yes, guys, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Let's meet on YouTube. I'm gonna be shooting content now.
Or implicated. Now, we're saying that this should be, by the court's rule to be invalid, unconstitutional, because there is no need for you to then bring a Judicial Commission of Inquiry where a judge is going to have to preside over matters that implicate your peers. So we're saying that this is unconstitutional. And also, this Madlanga Commission was supposed to have started on the 1st of September. What's interesting, and it's not just as a matter of coincidence, you can tell that this is quite well orchestrated and planned, is you would know that we were given this date of the 18th and the 19th, where our case is going to be presided over by a full bench of 3 judges. But the Madlanga Commission leadership, or whoever it is that is responsible for the admin and the setting up of this whole process, then decided a day before. Now we're saying, if they want to uphold the rule of law and they want to ensure that this process is beyond reproach, such decisions and the alignment of such a day before even the actual court proceedings take place, which is really 2 days. Are very concerning, and they raise a flag. So we're saying that this is more than anything else an agenda behind how it is that they come on a date just 2 days, a day before, a couple of hours before.
Do you have proof then of the idea that all of this is orchestrated when you look at the timeline? Because initially we were told the commission was not able to sit at the beginning of September because the Justice Department, which ultimately would have been responsible for sorting out the logistics, had not been able to meet the deadline then, and that's how we ended up with the postponement, which will result in the hearings beginning on Wednesday. If you're saying that is sinister, the process and the dates, do you have proof, or are we going on a feeling here?
Well, the facts at hand are glaring, isn't it? Because, as you say, from the first, with them knowing very well that we have a case on the 18th and the 19th, of which they themselves, in terms of their commission, are in effect affected. Right. So for them to choose a date, because they, remember, handpicked the date. It's not a date that was just conjured up. They went and handpicked a date off the back of a date that was given to us of the 18th and 19th. And they chose the 17th. They could have chosen the 21st. They could have chosen the 28th. Why not? So we're saying that itself is not a good look. And, these kind of things we actually need to take into consideration if there's going to be any conflict.
So if the commission, which it intends to do, sits Wednesday and your hearing with the High Court is on Thursday, how much harm do you think that 24 hours before the matter is heard will do to your case? How does it disadvantage the MKP's arguments?
I think that's a very good question. I mean, we could ask the same question to them. How much does it disadvantage the process if they've been able to wait for a good 16 days for them to wait until next week, Tuesday, for instance? I mean, it's an equal response and the same question that they will be asking us. We ask them, what's wrong with waiting for the outcomes of the court process and then, off the back of that, initiate this process?
But I'm asking you then, because you've already said it's reckless to do so, and I'm trying to understand what harm it would do, because let's say the court rules in your favor right after the hearing on Thursday, they would only be 1 day into the process, so not a lot of ground would have been covered. How do you think you'd be disadvantaged by that?
Well, remember, first and foremost, South Africans are disadvantaged by the fact that there's 147 million rands that's been allocated to this process, which we've said categorically there's no need for a Madlanga Commission. We've got an ad hoc committee in Parliament. Parliamentarians are paid to preside over this, and more than anything else, more than competent, we believe, as lawmakers to preside over a state-owned department such as the police, and rightfully so, because we have oversight responsibility. So the ad hoc committee itself is enough of a process that is responsible, and rightfully so within the law, to have oversight and to call upon all the witnesses to then account accordingly. The Madlanga Commission, as it is, it's a fruitless and wasteful expenditure process. It is a duplicate and a parallel process, of which is quite glaring in this country, because there's now a new shift and a wave of judiciary now usurping power from Parliament. If you look at most cases that are out there where this Parliament takes decisions, it is the judiciary that usurps the powers of Parliament. So what we're seeing now is that, is an element of the judicial sovereignty more than that parliamentary process that is and should represent the people that elected members of Parliament.
Two things. You had taken issue at the beginning with the start of the process with Justice Madlanga, who was retiring at the time from the Constitutional Court, saying, how can he lead a process, and I'm paraphrasing here, that could possibly implicate colleagues, etc. He's now retired, so no longer a judge on the bench. Does that not deal with the issues that you had about the suitability then of a member of the judiciary leading the process? And secondly, on the issue of the ad hoc committee, how can you guarantee that it will be a more credible process when we know from Parliament's own history, partisan divisions have often, in fact, interfered with the very credibility of ad hoc committees and their ability to produce outcomes that are acceptable? A case in point would have been the Nhlanhla matter, which ultimately ended up, in fact, in the court system, and Parliament was found to have been foul in the processing of that chapter.
Well, let's not forget that judges are appointed by Mr. Phala himself. So this judge, in as much as you're saying that he's now retiring, those are still his peers. Whether we like it or not, he has worked with these people. There may be a relationship or still has a relationship with a lot of them. So we cannot now turn a blind eye to that. The issue of the ad hoc committee in Parliament, well, let's not forget that even the Section 89 report that still holds Mr. Phala, your president, accountable to, and says that there is an infringement on PRECA and that there's a case to be heard. There's still no outcome. Instead, you're finding, him using scapegoats of those that broke into his house today to try and cover up a huge, broader issue of his delinquency as a president. So we're saying that what needs to happen here, in as much as there's going to be an ad hoc committee in Parliament, and that parliamentarians, let's not forget, it has been stated, are also complicit in this and implicated. What we need to ensure is we need to sanitize the people that preside over this and ensure that those people, in actual fact, are not those that are actually complicit or have been called out and would then be found wanting as to why they're even participating in this process, because they're, effectively to lose the credibility and the potency that it's supposed to have. Now, let's not also forget another key element here, And that key element is that the ad hoc committee itself need not be seen as a second-hand fiddle to the Madlanga Commission. It needs to be center-focused, and it needs to be the main, platform where all recommendations by lawmakers comes out and its people are held accountable. And let's not forget that MK Party in the past was never part of any ad hoc committee. We were never in parliament. Now we are. Now South Africans can also hold us accountable. We cannot respond on the basis of ad hoc committees where MK Party never participated.
Nhlanhla, good to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time as always and being on the SABC this evening. Well, let's remind you of our question this evening.
Look, today we are marching with the Umkhonto Wesizwe Military Veterans League. We will be marching to the provincial headquarters to deliver a memorandum. We are calling on the provincial commissioner to, number one, take the residents of Gauteng into confidence. You would have seen the latest crime stats that Gauteng was really not improving, especially in terms of violent crimes. Now, what we have seen with Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, pressure, amongst one of the things was that there are issues here in Gauteng in particular. He spoke about a killing of a famous DJ here in Gauteng, and for that reason we have reason to believe that Gauteng needs to obviously jack up its act and really reassure residents of Gauteng that it's doing everything to protect them. But over and above that, I think that more than anything, we all believe that if we don't stand up as citizens of this country now and take this opportunity to really finally, put a clear marker between us and those who are against society, it will never come again anytime soon, an opportunity like that. And we want to call on the residents of Gauteng to do exactly that. We believe that Umkhonto Wesizwe is better placed to be the one that leads that call, that leads that move, that leads the current, that can lead to more accountable politicians and leaders in society, that can lead to more accountable, policing in our province. So for that reason, we think that we need to fight even harder and really be on the forefront as Umkhonto Wesizwe. Today it's this march, and on Friday we will be going to the Union Building. We believe that will bring Gauteng to a standstill, and we are going to have a mother of all marches to ensure that finally those who are reluctant in making sure that they protect our people, in working for our people, understand that now is not the time for all talk, but it's time for action.
Be